All right, good morning and welcome to our channel. Today, we're going to be discussing HUD's treatment first and homeless plan. Now, earlier in the year, the president had mentioned that he'd like very much to switch from housing first to treating the homeless that may have drug addiction or otherwise other issues. And so it looks like that may have been shot down through court battles at some of the upper levels. And so I want to go over some of the information that's been coming out today regarding that so we can take a look at what's going to propose, what the proposal might entail, at least for the next year. It doesn't mean that this cannot be changed later. So I'm bringing some notes, and I'm going to put these notes as well in the comment section and description for you guys. That way you can take a look and verify the sources for yourself. So under this program, HUD's policy shift is very much real these days. And in a new phase of the treatment first is not an official name, but a new nationwide housing aid program. It refers to Trump administration's effort to move the federal homeless funding away from traditional housing first priorities and towards transitional housing and treatment and recovery services, along with self-sufficiency requirements and public safety enforcement. At least that's the narrative that most of us are rather accustomed hearing these days. Most importantly, in the latest FY 2026 HUD Continuum of Care funding notice, and just to be clear, guys, when we talk about Continuum of Care, what we're really talking about is many might perceptibly think that Section 8 and its vouchers are only issued through the housing authority locally in your town or county. That's simply not the truth. There's rapid rehousing, permanent supportive housing, and in some limited cases, emergency housing vouchers. These are issued through a different system called Continuum of Care, and people go through coordinated entry and are entered into a system called HMIS, which is the Homeless Information Management System. And I'll get into that further in another video, but I wanted you to make that distinction that funding for the homeless is a little bit different than ordinary people. So the FY 2026 HUD Continuum of Care funding notice contained a shift, which was vacated by federal court on August 7th, 2026. So I'm late to the game on that. So these proposed funding rules are not currently moving forward under the NOPO. And so HUD COC competition update and also the court order, I'm going to link up again in the description and comments section. And anyways, the executive order is 14321, signed July 24, 2025. It directed HUD and HHS and DOJ and other agencies to reduce support for housing first policies that deprioritized accountability and to consider treatment and mental health services as conditions in certain federally funded homeless programs were legally allowed. It also promoted grant preferences for jurisdictions enforcing laws and other public drug use, including camping, loitering, and related conduct, which you can look under again in the executive order 14321. So, as we move further into this, under the earlier FY 2025 COC proposal, HUD has sought to do the following: cap renewal funding for existing permanent housing projects, 30% of the community's annual renewal demand, and shift more funding to transitional housing, street outreach, and supportive services, job training, mental health care, and substance use treatment. The award points for communities and providers that operated programs requiring participation in services for treatment, mainly treatment programs. And so, prioritizing treatment recovery orientated housing rather than permanent housing without sobriety or treatment preconditions under the NOPO. So HUD's 2026 version has been revised to a new approach, which is still attempting to reserve 1.3 billion for the new projects under emphasizing transitional housing and supportive services enrollment rather than traditional housing first emphasis. Why the courts stopped it? Well, the U.S. District Court for the District of Rhode Island, and you know that particular district court's been in the news a lot for overturning different results concerning this administration. But as they went on, they ruled that HUD did not follow the required notice or comment process before using major funding shift. Now, when we discuss that, setting aside that particular part, you know, if they didn't follow the instruction on that, that means that there's an opportunity to make justifications and adjustments to that. And then this could very well roll out a different year coming up. So, what this will mean for most people seeking housing aid? Well, the primary concerns to HUD's Continuum of Care homeless assistance grants, including permanent supportive housing, rapid rehousing, transitional housing, shelter, and homeless service providers, Ultimately, it means there's going to be a big shift in the market for the next 12 months. It does not automatically terminate, reduce, or change regular Section 8 housing choice voucher. A person cannot be told that HUD's created a blanket nationwide rule requiring every homeless person to complete treatment before receiving assistance. And I think that's a primary aspect here is this is not a blanket plan that will roll out for the next year. It's limited in scope, meaning that things could change after a year. But for now, it looks like they're going to try to work with different PHA and continuum of care programs to see which ones would want to participate in that. Okay. Civil commitment is still controlled by constitutional due process protections and applicable state law. The executive order alone does not allow a city or provider to simply institutionalize somebody. So that is off the table. There will be no random police cars rounding people up and then throwing them in institutions. Okay. As many have argued back and forth regarding that matter. Bottom line, HUD is clearly pursuing policy direction that favors treatment, recovery, and transitional housing and accountability over that of the prior housing first model for the first time. But as of August 14, 2026, the principal FY 2026 funding mechanism for that has changed and has been vacated by the court order. So it's a reprieve for approximately a year and then reconsideration for the administration to determine whether or not they have a way to move forward with this or in a much reduced capacity. That being said, guys, let me say a few highs and hellos. I wanted to get that out because it's an important thing. You know, people are worried about constitutional rights, and others would like to see people get in treatment. So I think that in the end, this may have a much more narrow scope to address specific cases where we see that mental health and drug activity may play a strong role in some homeless people's lives, and therefore they would need reactive treatment. But for the vast majority of homeless people, this will not be an effective rule. But I won't exclude the fact that, there's always a potential for, first responders and other agencies to abuse policy regardless of its limited scope. We've seen it millions of times throughout society where we rolled out a simple rule and it was expanded to cover more people than intended, and the merit of the law was not actually followed. So we'll have to carefully monitor this to see whether or not it's being fairly used and administrated by both first responders and local and city government as well as other hospitals. So it's a big change, but again, as we continue to approach November and December for congressional vote for many rules, what we're seeing more and more often is things are being argued down and narrowed. So it appears that housing first programs are not going away, but there will be a narrow scope. So if I had to put a percentage on this based on materially what's been discussed in prior experience working at the federal level for nearly 26 years, helping people, I can tell you that probably this will be in effect in a narrow scope, probably affecting around 20% of the homeless population versus all of it. So we'll have to see what other iterations and reconsiderations are done at the federal level as well as the White House and considerations to Congress before there's an ultimate decision of what they vote on. Okay, so for now, this remains very fluid, and we should expect more updates coming, possibly October, November, and December. I've enjoyed having you guys, and I hope you enjoy your day. I will see you guys again Sunday. We have another rather contentious subject matter to cover. The video will be around 10 or 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. You can also find my lives on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and mainly Sundays around 10 or 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. I do EDUs or educational videos on all the other days, and occasionally I might do a double EDU in a single day if I feel it up to it. So it's been a pleasure seeing you guys. And let me see a few highs and hellos before I go. Lick Williams, hey Jay in chat. Well, hello, Infinite Possibilities. Good morning. Sherry, thank you for joining the channel. So we had a limited number of people today, and so thank you for coming, guys. And let me see if I got a few free memberships I can give out. Since I got you guys here real quick, we have a small crowd. This will allow some of you older individuals that always get upset because you don't get a chance to actually click on these free memberships. Let's see what we've got. Yep, we've got 5 free. So while we've only got a limited audience, I'm going to put these out. Keep in mind if you're on a phone, a tablet, a TV, or otherwise a desktop, it's all about clicking the link. Those who click the fastest will get it. If you're watching this video after it's no longer live, there's no opportunity to get a free membership. Okay. There's not a way for me to go and just send it to you. So it happens now or never. Okay. So I'm going to count down to 3 and then I'm going to issue it. It'll take it a second or two for YouTube to process. And then when it shows up in your live feed, Click, click, click. Okay. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, and it's live. So whoever wants it may take it. There's 2 down, 3 down, 4's taken, 5's taken. So that's the end of it. Congratulations, y'all members. It will give you the option to renew that if you wish. All right. It's been a pleasure. We'll see you again. Bye bye for now.